get a chance to sit down with percussionist and conga player Leonard William Gibbs, known as Doc Gibbs, recently, and hear about some of his career highlights. Doc has played with Grover Washington Jr., Al Jarreau, and a host of other top names in music. Doc was the leader for Emeril Lagasse's house band for the Food Network show Emeril Live for years. He was preparing for a show with Amaryllis Santiago at the Forum Auditorium in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, when he found a few minutes to share with Conga TV. You have quite a resume, sir. Looks like you played on over 200 albums.
Really?
I saw that on one of your notes somewhere. So can you just give me a few highlights? What are some of the moments that really stick out in your memory?
Well, you know, the years I spent with Grover Washington Jr., of course. Touring and recording with Grover was like going to graduate school, because it really taught us how to work on the road and how, you know, musicians have to survive and make it on the road other than just playing music. So Grover, of course, was one of them. And then Al Jarreau was another exciting touring artist that I enjoyed working with. And Diane Reeves was another one. That was a lot of fun. We toured Europe, and there used to be a jazz festival over in Japan called Mount Fuji Jazz Festival, and that was pretty incredible because it was just all musicians staying in the same hotel, everybody having fun together in jam sessions. So those are some of the highlights.
Give me a little love. That's it? Okay. All right.
Very cool.
All right.
Why do they call you Doc?
Well, Grover gave me that name. We were recording an album which eventually became Live at the Bijou, and the first night of recording, Grover had a terrible cold, and he was real sick, and he could only get up on the stage and play the head of the song, and he would let everybody else solo because he just didn't feel well. So I'm into herbal teas and health foods, so I mixed him up a concoction of different herbal remedies, and I gave it to him. The next day, he felt like 100% better. So on that record, he introduced me as there's two doctors in Philadelphia, Dr.J and Dr. Gibbs. So that Doc has stuck ever since.
You know, it's been quite a while. You remember that night, don't you? On a starry winter night in Portugal, where the southern morning kissed the sky.
I watched one of the videos you've got up on YouTube with the New World Review.
Right.
And you were playing some really unusual instruments there. There was one particular instrument that looked like, almost like a big bean, and it sounded almost like a steel drum.
Right.
What was that instrument?
That's
Tell me
called the
about that.
hang drum. It comes from Switzerland. And I've been playing that for about 10 years. And they're kind of hard to get now because people started finding out how well they sounded, and they would buy them from the maker and then resell them. And so I don't even know if he still makes them now, because people were like reselling them for $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, you know. I think I paid $500 for mine.
It was very unusual. I've never seen anything like it.
It's a great instrument. It's like hours and hours of fun. Yeah.
In that same video, I saw you were also sitting on something and playing
Yeah, I
it
was
between
playing
your legs, but I couldn't tell what that was.
That's called a cajon. It's a box, comes from Cuba, but it can be found in Peru and Argentina and Spain. Originally, it was an instrument that, it wasn't an instrument, it was a box. Centuries ago, the box was used to transport dry goods. So the enslaved Africans who worked on the docks in Cuba would play the box because they didn't have congas at the time. So that developed into being an instrument. So you can find it in all these other countries, the cajon. Cajon means box, yeah.
Desde mi punto de vista y cómo vi la vida mía diferente de ayer, subía mis emociones y cada noche yo deseaba decirte la verdad. ocultadas, sentimientos que no igualan. Tengo que decirte en palabras exactas para que sepas que cada noche estoy soñando, soñando. Deseo que estarás aquí.
You have Cuban background by any chance?
No.
No? Oh, okay. I actually live in Miami. I'm married to a Cuban.
Oh,
so
okay,
that's how I
okay.
kind of got interested in a
Wow,
lot of this
okay.
tropical music. Do you play
Nice.
on tropical recordings much, or mostly
not
jazz?
many, mostly jazz, you know, contemporary stuff. I grew up listening to a lot of Latin music, but unfortunately, I never really played in a Latin band.
What are you working on these days? What do you have coming up?
Well, I'm doing a concert in a couple weeks with New World Review, and then next week I'm doing a gig. I have another band that's sort of like a contemporary Latin Brazilian jazz band. So we'll be doing some stuff next week. That's a instrumental band with bass drums, piano, percussion, and trombone. Yeah.
That sounds great. I also saw Drums for Peace mentioned. Can you tell me about Drums for Peace?
Well, that's a something that was what I formed that to go into schools and present drums as a way of fostering harmony, and bringing people together. And we like to say drums and no guns. So we'd rather give you a drum and take the gun and teach you how to play the drum. You can play together, teaches you how to have respect for your fellow person, respect for the teacher, your elders. So, you know, we use the drum as a way to foster certain life skills.
Is there anything that you'd like to leave your fans with? You want to anything in particular on your mind you'd like to talk about for a moment?
The main thing is for people to really get into the music, search out music that has percussionists in it, because unfortunately there's not enough percussionists in the music today. You don't hear percussion and hand drums. So I tell people, search out music that has the hand drum in it and percussion, so you can get an understanding of how it really fits into the music and how important it is. So that's what I leave for the fans.
Doc, appreciate it.
My
I'm going to
pleasure,
be looking
Jim.
forward to the show. I'll be out there cheering you on.
Sounds good. Thank you. Have a great one.
Yeah.